Well, hello everyone, this is Dr. Schroeder with this week's video introduction to week number 5 in our course on evidence-based practice. And since we're at week 5, we are at the official halfway point. The official halfway point ended, the first half ended the end of week 4, and today's the first week of day 5, or week 5. So we're officially on the downhill stretch. Um, let's see, a lot of really good discussion. We covered a lot of material, and for those of you that have been um, I don't want to say that use the term necessarily becoming frustrated, but those of you that have expressed that, gosh, this is a lot of material to understand and a lot of material to know. Granted, it really is. It's almost like when you enter the world of research, you're entering it's a new discipline to you. It's not that uncommon or not that unlike your first day of nursing when you start nursing school and you've got a whole new set of models and theories and terminology and expectations. And research is really like that. It's its own discipline. Um, and so it is a bit of a struggle sometimes learning what some of these terms mean and learning what the concept means, especially given the kind of jargon that we tend to use in research. And when I can, I've been trying to take some of that jargon that sometimes sounds confusing and trying to put it into words that make a little bit more sense. Like most things in life, when broken down into their smaller parts and when you strip away the jargon, which is important, it's important for researchers to have a common language to use when they discuss their research. But sometimes that jargon can get in the way of really understanding if you don't understand exactly what those research terms mean. Just like a doctor trying to explain a disease process to a patient can make their eyes glaze over and then make them come to you to the nurse and say, what did he say? And then you have to restate it. Sometimes research is kind of the same way. So hang in there. Take heart, I do understand that, and I'll try to explain these concepts as best I can in more layman's terms whenever needed. As you need to, just go ahead and post me questions, either send them via email, post them in the class, and I will try to rephrase and try to explain things differently as I can. In week number 4, the topic was to review the research studies that we've been looking at and discussing if the correct methodology was used. And again, as I've been saying all along, or saying for the last couple of weeks anyway, it's the research question that determines the methodology, not the topic of research necessarily. Um, and one then has to determine the first decision is, are we going to look at something qualitatively or quantitatively? And then after we've made a decision that way, then we have to break it down even further and realize that, especially with quantitative, there's many different types of a quantitative uh, study that can be done. The one we looked at this week was cross-sectional, and cross-sectional is primarily one way to look at it is just a snapshot in time, statistics and a statistical analysis of what was happening in a particular population with a particular phenomenon in a very set period of time. It's very accurate. It's kind of like taking a quick X-ray, whereas a longitudinal study or other studies that have a broader scope of data collection, data analysis, it's more like a fluoroscopy. You know, you get kind of sort of a moving, you get a longer term amount of data that is very generalizable over a longer period of time, but that isn't always necessarily the most desirable thing. It's kind of like the difference between an X-ray and an MRI. There are times when an X-ray works just fine. Other times when you really want to pinpoint very specifically, when you're trying to dig down into data. Sometimes that cross-sectional is important, just getting that very limited period of time, because that's where the most controls are. Anytime you extend a research project over a longer period of time, although it gives you more data, it also opens the door for more instances of confounding data or for extraneous variables and things that the researcher can't control. So there's times when that shorter time period is actually a more desired thing. In week number 5, we move our topic to talking about how we choose. Well, when we're doing a research topic, the first thing that we need to do is identify what is our target population. Who is the population that we're looking to grabber that we're looking to actually study. It's not the same thing as a study sample. A study sample target population are oftentimes confused. When you're asked what is the study sample, or excuse me, the target population in a study, it's not the 10 or 15 or 100 or 200 people that they surveyed for that particular study. That is meant to be representative of a larger, a larger population. And so we, in research, we want to make sure that our research results are generalizable to a larger population. So talking about how we choose subjects and the recruitment efforts that we do, that's going to be the topic of this week's discussion. So of course, as always, I'll be participating along with you in that. And then I also do this week is your quantitative research critique. If you haven't started that already, please open it up and look at it, because it takes more time to do and it's more time consuming than it may at first look. First thing to remember is you do not need to type a new paper for this. Use the template that is in Blackboard. Just download the template and type into the little boxes. Each survey, you're going to be doing a qualitative survey in week 7. But in week 5 this week is the quantitative critique. And you'll see for each of the different assessment areas and each of the, I believe it's 33 if I'm not mistaken, critique points, you're going to want to make sure that each one of those critique questions is answered completely. You need to give some actual examples from the research, or really, in other words, it's not just you're going to say, yes, one particular element was there, or no, one particular element wasn't. You have to really state how was it. How was it evidenced? How was it observed? How did you see it? How do you know that it's there? And so that takes a little bit of time sometimes. So you want to make sure that you get a start on that soon if you haven't done so already. That will be due the end of this week. And I'll be reviewing the results from the midterm exam. You do have, one of you I sent an email, I'm sorry, because I said that you only have one exam, but there are 2 exams in the class. You do have a final exam also coming up in week 8. That will be your one of your final assignments for the class. Look like most of you did fine on the exam. I've really got to go through and do an item analysis. I may be changing the scores a little bit if there were any questions that appear to be particularly problematic. So I do reserve the right to review the scores a little bit if warranted. So you may see a little bit of a change in your score. I won't reduce anybody's scores, but you may see a couple of your points may go up 1 or 2 points. That's a good possibility. Also, this is Thanksgiving week, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I am recording this on Monday evening, so I'm not going to change any of the normal due dates in the class. One of the advantages of being in an online program, and one of the disadvantages, is we don't really have any holiday time to speak of. So each of you is responsible for just going in and continuing to follow the set timelines. However, if you do need time, if you've got a lot of family coming, if you have a lot of family stuff going on, please feel free to send me an email. I will work with you if you for example, have family flying in on Tuesday night, and you don't have any time on Wednesday, and my gosh, is it okay if you post late Tuesday night your initial and then do all of your follow-ups on Saturday? I will work with you on that. Just go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and I'm not going to make any official changes to when things are going to be due. Just be aware of it, and be aware of your own time management. And if you need time, go ahead and let me know. I'm generally pretty good with that. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful and the best of Thanksgiving. I will be actually I'm just going to be with my wife down in Rosarito for our Thanksgiving, and we're really looking forward to it. I won't be participating all week in class, so maybe even on Thanksgiving Day you may see that I'm actually giving feedback in there. Don't be worried about posting questions or posting anything like it's going to bother me. It's just part of goes with kind of sort of doing the online teaching responsibility. I'll be in every day looking at your questions, and feel free to post questions. It does not bother me at all. You won't be putting me out if you post something on Thanksgiving Day. It's not a problem. So blessings, everybody. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I will look forward to seeing you at discussion forums, and if you have questions, go ahead and let me know.